Today we're talking about The Disaster Artist, the film and the book, because I just finished reading the book. As you may know, if you have been following this channel since probably the very beginning, I did this video a while back ago called one of my favorite movies of all time or something like that. And that video is about The Room, the movie The Room. And as you may know, The Room is being claimed as the best worst movies ever made out there. Is the Citizen Kane of bad movies. So I made a video about that, explaining why I love the movie so much. And that is, I would say that I never, when I was done with that video, I never thought I would revisit the subject until I read The Disaster Artist. So I guess you can call this the second installment of the Room franchise that I'm doing, a series of videos that I'm doing about the Room and the Disaster Artist and everything. So today we're talking about The Disaster Artist. This book came out like a long time ago, but I never read it. The Room was pretty damn popular back then, but then it got more attention after The Disaster Artist, the film, came out, and everybody went back to watch The Room and gained a lot more followings after that. And funnily enough, when I bought this book is exactly when I met Greg Sestero, the author of this book. As you may know, Mark in the room, the actor who plays as Mark in The Room. And this book, I really love this book. And when you watch The Room, you would never thought that there's this insane, crazy story behind The Room. Like, what are the filmmakers are thinking? What's the set like? What is everyone's relationship like? And The Disaster Artist, the book, really explained that really well from Greg Sestero's perspective, of course. And it really digs deep into a lot of things that you would never imagine. The reason why I love The Room so much is because it's so inspiring, because essentially you're seeing these two people that are so unlike to each other coming together and form a really strong friendship together. They decide to move to LA and pursue their dream, which is acting in Hollywood. And when they are there, Greg Sestero found a little success because he has a little bit of talent. He's more open to the idea of reaching more stuff, taking more classes. Tommy Wiseau, on the other hand, he didn't find any success at all. And then after a while, they just decide, hey, let's just make a movie on our own. Fuck all these Hollywood assholes or whatever. Let's just make our own movies and have fun with that. And kind of that's how The Room was born, and the story kind of kicks off from then and there. I really love The Disaster Artist on how in depth it goes into the making of The Room. There are so many scenes where after you read this and then you watch The Room, it kind of shifts your perspective a little bit. But I would say this, the film, the Disaster Artist film, is definitely more lighthearted, more funny, more comedic, and it's easier to get into than the book. The book is actually a lot darker at times, and how it was written is in non-chronological order. So we have two different timelines intercutting with each other. The one timeline with Greg and Tommy, how they first met, how their relationship and friendship blossomed in the first place. That's one storyline intercutting with the actual making of The Room, and they kind of meet at the end where they just started to make the movie and it premieres, and that's kind of like where the story meets. And I really like that aspect of it because you see what happened and what happened before, and there are a lot of things in there. There are a lot of chapters, and there's this entire chapter dedicated to Tommy Wiseau's backstory, possible backstory. Is basically in Greg Sestero's head, how he theorized where Tommy came from and whatever. And also when you watch The Room, there are so many funny scenes that it's just so iconic. Everybody is quoting it, and when you say The Room, you instantly snap to that scene or that certain dialogue exchange or whatever. For example, the rooftop scene in the film Disaster Artist, it never really go into that much of the process of filming that scene. And in the book, they really went into it, like how Tommy will bump his head into the little box thing multiple times that he can't get out of the box, and he will forget his lines and whatever. And every time he walks up to the camera, say, "Oh, hi, Mark," he will always forget to look up and look at the person. "Oh, hi, Mark," looking at the person, and he will always look straight at the camera. And what they would do is just the cast and crew would just line up behind the camera, like waving at him, just to make Tommy to look up when he says the line. And that's how they finally got the shot. These are the things that the film never really got into. And there are also like stuff like Tommy always have like scripts, like few pages or one page of script in his pants, so that you can kind of see the pants is kind of stiff at times because there's a page of script in there. And on the other hand, that I was saying that the book is definitely darker than the film, is that it goes in depth on the trauma. I would say I wouldn't say trauma, that's a little bit too harsh, but I would say the hardship, or how the people involved to this project, their confidence got sabotaged or whatever. They really got into that. For example, like this scene where Chris R is talking to Danny and asking for his fucking money, and that scene was kind of created that well because the actor playing Chris R is the only non-actor in the crew. He's not an actor, but he got so mad at the filming process with Tommy that he kind of got that anger out of it and presented to the screen. And I thought that was so interesting. Danny is the oldest cast member, and yet he plays the youngest character in the entire film, wearing a Charlie Brown shirt. The film also never tackled the fact that Tommy wouldn't pay his actors because he thought the actors and the cast and crews, they're not doing like a good job, and that's why he won't pay them. And the book really focuses on Tommy as a character, as a person, I would say. Because when you see The Room, when you see the Disaster Artist film, we really conceive Tommy as a character more than anything else. And in the book, they really kind of bring him down to earth, explore his past, and make us look at him as a person, as a real person. Because there's this theory out there that Johnny might be a vampire, that Tommy says himself in the book. And there's also a theory that Greg Sestero has in his head that Tommy might be a vampire. He's hanging upside down, and he always knows where Greg is and send him postcards or whatever. It's kind of weird. And also, I just thought of this hilarious thing about the spoon and the photos in the background. Tommy nowadays trying to come up with a reasonable explanation to it, but there's really nothing else than just simply it's just when they're shooting a couple of scenes, the DP was like, hey, we can't just shoot an empty table in the background, it's way too boring, so we have to add something in the background. So they have some people to go into the store and bought some photo frames, and then they come back, and the sample photos on the frames are just spoons, silverwares and whatnot, and they didn't really care to take it out and replace it with anything else. Tommy just put it in the background. That's why there's so many spoons in the film. And also the character Peter, who's supposed to be this psychiatrist character, just disappeared after, like, by the end of the Room. And then everyone is wondering, wait, where'd he go? Well, the fact that is Peter the actor, I forgot his name, but he had this another gig for another film or TV show or whatever, and the contract with the Room is up. So Tommy has to let him go, and Tommy needs to write him out on the spot. So Peter just falls to the ground and never shows up again. But another thing that is coming up is that the character that is supposed to be catching Mark and Lisa making out on the couch, that character is supposed to be Peter, but now Peter is gone, so that Tommy introduced another character to catch them, so that that character can expose them. So that's like this kind of like a unexpected success where Tommy just like, okay, we need a character to catch them, so let's just write this character in, and that's how that character was created. It's like this insane, the one successful thing that Tommy has actually done with the script and the filming process. I just thought it was interesting. There are also a lot of pictures in the book about the midpoint. I thought they were really interesting because there's a lot of the pictures, they seem to be having a lot of fun on set, but that if you know about this whole project, is that Tommy actually replaced his cast and crew 4 times because everyone was like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? So they would just leave, and Tommy will replace it with a new cast, and they will leave. So it happened 4 times. So I really love the book. That's all I'm saying. And I met Greg Sestero at Best Friends, because that's his new movie with Tommy Wiseau. They're coming together to make a new movie, Best Friends Volume 1 and 2. I met Greg Sestero at the Volume 1 screening at the Frida Cinema. It's kind of close. It's close to Anaheim. Orange. Is it Orange? I'm not sure, but like it's somewhere over there. He signed it. He signed the book to Howard. He crossed his name out and signs his initial there. When I met him, I asked him the whole takeaway, because I really wanted to know what is the whole takeaway when the audience, when we see The Room or The Disaster Artist, what is it that they wish us to take away from this whole thing. And he told me that the best thing that you can take away from all of these is that never expect a reaction, because you never know what people are going to think about your stuff, your ideas. You might have this insane idea that is so masterful in your mind, but when you tell it to someone else, they won't feel anything at all. So then along the book, I bought the poster as well. I really love the poster. It's really, I don't know, it's really colorful. I also like this subtle detail where Tommy has this breast cancer ribbon on his chest. You know, I definitely have breast cancer line. We have water bottles in the background, a handgun, 2 belts, a pug over here. Oh yeah, and also the story about the pug is that when they filmed that flower shop scene for so long, and they're all of a sudden they realize, oh shit, there's a pug sitting there. There's an actual pug sitting there, just not doing anything and not moving at all, and he is a real dog. So when they filmed the last one, Tommy would just suddenly add "hi doggy" and just walk off. That is just like this incredible ad-lib of that made it to the final cut. It's incredible. Danny is over here, creepy as hell. We have a dozen of red roses, please. We have candles, alcohol, and I also love how the poster is mostly green. And as you may know, when they shot the rooftop scene, they didn't use an actual rooftop. They built a rooftop set, and the entire background was just the whole green screen. And nobody knows why, but Tommy just, this is Hollywood stuff, no Mickey Mouse stuff. So that's why it's green. And of course, to top it all off, we have the spoons flying off from the sky. So yeah, I think that wraps up the video about The Disaster Artist. If you are a fan of The Room, please go check it out. The book is really worth it. It's such a good read. I was laughing so hard. I never laughed so hard reading a book. It's so real as well. There's this one detail where Tommy never drives above the speed limit, and the one time he does, that's some really emotional stuff that's coming out from these two characters and people, I would say. And I really love the non-chronological structure. I think it worked with the story, and I'm not gonna grade it. I just really recommend, please do check it out. This book is really definitely worth the read. And then check out the film as well. The film is lighthearted more, and the book really goes into details. Now we're done with the video. I think I can tease a little bit, maybe like the next video that I will make about The Room is The Room, the original script. I never read this. Haven't, at least. I bought it when I met Greg Sestero, and I would say Greg Sestero is basically everything you would expect from the guy. He's basically the real life Mark in real life. He talks exactly like Mark, and because he's playing, like, there's no difference when it comes to Mark and Greg. They're like the exact person. And also, oh yeah, I just thought about this fact that is mentioned in the book, is that the name Mark came from Matt Damon, but Tommy remembered it as Mark Damon. And then so that's how he named the character Mark. And definitely read the book. There are a lot of details in it that I didn't mention, but there are so many details that just makes everything so much more interesting and intriguing. And definitely go check it out. So I would love to read this script. I want to see what's in there. I haven't read anything, but it looks really cool. I'm planning on reading it and maybe sharing my thoughts on it. It's 114 pages long, which is pretty standard when it comes to movie script. So I don't know when I will make that, whenever I feel like it. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and tell me in the comments what you think of the video and Disaster Artist film, book, The Room, whatever you want to talk about it. Leave it in the comments. And thank you for watching this video. I'll see you next time. Bye.